Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player. Can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hull approached her to help her.
Immediately, first, look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team.
One player goes down screaming, another player walks away like nothing happened, and the entire basketball world exploded with rage that's still burning today. What happened to Sophie Cunningham wasn't just another injury, it was the moment that exposed everything toxic about how the WNBA handles its most dangerous players.
Watch out for Bria Hartley because she's a dirty-ass player.
Happening to Sophie, and fans can't bear to see it.
This is Hartley right here coming in.
Slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls
and she
collision
crushes
with that lower
in
leg. You immediately
on the knee of Sophie right here.
She went down.
Just sums up everything. Like, we weren't going to win this game if Sophie Cunningham was healthy. This isn't like, oh, we lost because of a Sophie Cunningham injury. We were down 17 points when she got injured. This happens.
The scene was brutal enough to make hardened basketball fans look away. Sophie Cunningham, one of the few players willing to bring real intensity to the Indiana Fever, was suddenly on the hardwood clutching her knee in agony. The culprit? Bria Hartley, a player whose name has become synonymous with controversy and cheap shots across the league. But this wasn't some freak accident during a heated playoff battle. This happened while the Fever were already getting demolished by 17 points.
And it looked like Stephanie White is extremely emotional after this hard-fought game. Sophie Cunningham family is extremely pissed off.
Picture this, you're already losing badly. Your best players are dropping like flies all season, and then your toughest defender gets taken out by what looks suspiciously like a targeted hit. The collision happened when Hartley drove to the basket and somehow managed to fall directly into Sophie's knee with enough force to leave the Missouri product writhing in pain. Medical experts who analyzed the footage immediately started throwing around words no athlete ever wants to hear: potential patella fracture, possible season-ending damage, maybe even career implications.
It's just emotional, guys. I'm hella mad. Hartley needs to be suspended on a major level. Completely, probably. At this point, she's more dirtier than Dejanay Carrington.
What makes this whole situation absolutely explosive is how Sophie's family responded. These weren't just disappointed relatives posting sad emojis. Her sister Lindsay went nuclear on social media, basically telling the WNBA to stop worrying about finding players to defend their garbage officiating and start actually protecting the athletes who make their league relevant. Then Sophie's mom Paula jumped in with both feet, calling Hartley a problem player who causes issues everywhere she goes and plays completely out of control.
They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie, and that's exactly what they did, was hurt Sophie, and I'm hella mad.
When families start publicly destroying league officials and calling out specific players by name, you know something way bigger than basketball is happening. This isn't the polite disappointment you usually see from player families. This is raw fury from people who watch their daughter get hurt by someone they believe has a pattern of dangerous behavior.
Paula, at WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes.
Here's where things get really interesting, because Bria Hartley isn't some unknown rookie making mistakes. She's a veteran who's been building quite the reputation for questionable plays. Just months before the Sophie incident, she grabbed Angel Reese by the ponytail during a rebound battle, like they were in some kind of street fight instead of a professional basketball game. The footage looked more like WWE than women's basketball, with Reese immediately getting in Hartley's face while teammates had to separate them.
And Sophie's mother, Paula, Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control.
Hartley's excuse? She called it an accident, claiming Reese's hair was just too long and got caught in her hands naturally. But when you're a professional athlete making split-second decisions, accidentally grabbing someone's hair during a basketball play sounds about as believable as accidentally stepping on someone's foot 3 times in a row. The incident was so blatant that even casual fans who don't follow the WNBA closely started asking why this player keeps finding herself in the middle of these situations.
It's a patella injury. Normally, people will hold higher in their knee if it's a knee ligament injury. It looks like she might have either ruptured her patella.
The Angel Reese hair pulling wasn't an isolated incident either. There have been multiple ejections, countless cheap shots, and a growing list of players and fans who've called Hartley's style of play dangerous and unprofessional. Some analysts have already labeled her the dirtiest player in the league, putting her right alongside other notorious names that make opponents nervous just seeing them on the opposing roster.
Sophie did not deserve any of that happened to her today, and it is very, very unfortunate, man.
What's absolutely mind-blowing is how the WNBA has handled all of this mess, which is to say, they basically haven't handled it at all. While star players are getting hurt left and right, while families are publicly ripping the league's officiating, while fans are demanding suspensions and accountability, the league's response has been crickets. No major suspensions, no policy changes, no acknowledgement that maybe letting players get away with increasingly dangerous behavior isn't great for business.
Sophie Cunningham out for the year. How can this team continue to survive? We bring in Ari McDonald because of injuries. And who would have thought? Caitlin Clark would be out most of the year. Sophie Cunningham will have a season-ending injury.
The silence becomes even more ridiculous when you realize how desperate the WNBA should be to protect its talent right now. The league is finally getting mainstream attention, TV deals are improving, and stars like Caitlin Clark have brought in new audiences. This should be the moment when protecting players becomes the top priority, not the time to let dirty players run wild because officials can't figure out how to maintain control of games.
I told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know how the Indiana Fever.
Sophie's injury hits especially hard because she represented something the Fever desperately needed: toughness and intensity. While other players seemed afraid to stand up for teammates or bring energy to games, Sophie was the one willing to scrap and fight for every possession. She was the defender Caitlin Clark needed, the emotional spark that could lift a struggling team. Now she's gone, potentially for the entire season, because of a collision with a player who has a documented history of hurting people.
She is a dirty, dirty player. She pulled Angel Reese out of air by her ponytail. Angel Reese is ready to fight. Just last game, I think 2 days ago.
The timing couldn't be worse for Indiana either. They're already dealing with multiple injuries that have basically destroyed their depth chart. Caitlin Clark has missed significant time. Other key players are battling various problems. And now their emotional leader is done. What should have been a season of growth and development has turned into a medical disaster that's testing how much bad luck one franchise can absorb.
I don't know if it's her knee. I don't know if it's her Achilles. The way she was kind of dragging her foot. I don't know. But Bria Hartley has had dirty plays all season. But you got to know who we're talking about.
But the Sophie Cunningham situation represents something way bigger than just one team's injury problems. It's become a symbol of everything fans believe is broken about WNBA officiating and player safety. When families are this publicly angry, when calls for civil rights investigations are being made, when veteran players are being labeled as dangerous by their peers, you're looking at a league-wide crisis that goes far beyond basketball.
Reality, because she is somebody's daughter, she is somebody's sister, and this is just unfortunate. And those of you who don't think a civil rights investigation need to be brought upon this league is tripping. This civil rights investigation.
Fans have started connecting dots that paint a disturbing picture. Dirty players who face no real consequences, officials who seem unable or unwilling to control increasingly physical games, a league office that responds to safety concerns with corporate speak instead of actual policy changes. The result is an environment where players like Sophie Cunningham get hurt, while players like Bria Hartley keep playing week after week.
Do you think the refs called any fouls? No, they didn't. These refs are clowns. These referees are clowns.
The most frustrating part might be how preventable this all feels. Everyone could see this coming. The pattern was already established, the warning signs were flashing bright red, and yet nothing changed. Sophie's family wasn't surprised by what happened because they'd been watching Hartley's behavior for months. Fans weren't shocked because they'd been calling for action against dangerous players all season. Even analysts had been highlighting the problem of inconsistent officiating and lack of player protection.
Lexi Hull hit a big three that was the dagger at the end. Aaliyah Boston, 7 of 13, 14 points, 13 boards, a double-double there, added 5 assists.
Now, the WNBA finds itself facing exactly the kind of controversy that could derail all the positive momentum they've been building. Instead of talking about exciting playoff races or emerging stars, everyone's discussing dirty players and inadequate safety measures. Instead of celebrating the league's growth, people are questioning whether the product on the court is even safe for the athletes competing.
In the beginning of this game, Sophie Cunningham is bringing the ball up the floor. She gets mugged, hit upside the head, knocked to the floor while dribbling the ball up the floor 75 feet away from the rim.
The league has reached a crossroads where they can either address these problems head-on or watch them spiral into something that seriously damages the WNBA's reputation. Sophie Cunningham's injury wasn't just another unfortunate accident. It was a wake-up call that the current system isn't working, and major changes need to happen before more careers get derailed.
Kathy Engelberg, wake the hell up. Half of your league is hurt now. Who would have thought? How do the Indiana Fever? Bria Hartley, you are a dirty, low-down dog of a player, you.
What makes this whole situation even more intense is that it's happening while the WNBA is experiencing unprecedented growth and attention. New fans are watching, media coverage is expanding, and the league finally has a chance to establish itself as must-see entertainment. But instead of showcasing the incredible talent and competitive spirit that makes women's basketball special, too many conversations are focused on officiating failures and player safety concerns.
Wonder why there's so many goddamn injuries all over the league, because you are allowing people to play rugby and football and do UFC moves in the middle of a basketball game.
The pressure on the league office has never been higher, and how they respond to the Sophie Cunningham situation could determine whether the WNBA continues its upward trajectory or gets bogged down in controversies that overshadow everything positive about the sport. Fans, players, and families are all watching to see if the league will finally take serious action or continue to let problems fester until they explode into something even worse. Right now, the ball is in the WNBA's court, and everyone's waiting to see if they'll make the right play or fumble away an opportunity to show they actually care about protecting the athletes who make their league possible. The Sophie Cunningham injury was the spark, but the fire it started is still burning, and it's not going out until real changes happen.